in chapter 6 is about love languages. And if you haven't read there's a book, bestseller. It was a game changer for me and Holly, and we thought it was very important to put it in here when it's dealing with our children, because love is not love unless it's received. And come to find out that we all have different ways that we receive love, so do your children. And many fights and many arguments, and I think a lot of people that I've talked to, maybe some people in the room or some people that are watching right now, you grew up in a home where your mom and dad felt like they were loving you, yet you grew up and thought, they didn't love me. I never got any love from my parents. And the reason is because they were loving you in their language and not in the love language that you received in. And so we have to become bilingual. I remember when we were in France, and I was simply trying to find a stupid bathroom, and when there's a language barrier, it's so annoying, right? Because Les Oui Oui doesn't find a bathroom, I guess. I thought that was, I don't know how to find a bathroom and speak, and you know how we just speak louder when we think that it's louder and slower? And it's almost like in actions, we do our actions louder and slower, but they still don't feel the love that we have. So it's very important. And some of you out there, I know that it had a big difference in me and Holly's marriage when we found out, oh, wait a second, because I think that I'm loving her. Because when I used to counsel and I'd meet with couples, like all I do is love, 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 and I give and give, give. And they're like, and the other person's like, they never love me at all. I never get any love. And then you come to find out, well, yeah, he is loving, but just not in your language. And so he has to learn, because love is not love unless it's received. He's got to learn to speak your language. And so we're going to go over the 5 different love languages that are out there.
And they can change, too. They can change for different situations. Your child may have a love language with you and your spouse, and a completely different set of love languages with, like, grandparents or friends. And so it's really awesome to be well-versed in all 5.
And yours also can change, because mine's adapted.
The first love language is words of encouragement.
Yes.
Not a strength of mine.
Actually, it is.
Aw, that was cute. Words of encouragement are a person who really values when someone tells them they did great or they're amazing or something that they did. Basically, they just like to hear words of praise. They like to be encouraged with words. It's literally... That's it.
It is. Like that's the person you walk up and you go, oh my gosh, you're like, your hair looks great. You did a new look. And they just light up. They're just so happy. Like, it could be a son or a daughter. Man, you're so handsome. And they're like, and then there's, another kid, you're like, oh, your hair looks great. He's like, yeah, I know. What's the big deal? Right? Like, it means nothing to them, right? And it's funny because you'll see as we go through these love languages where maybe you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I see how they got offended or how they got hurt. Like a person who's a words of encouragement type person, you'll see them so when I go to buy birthday cards or any holiday cards, so like September, I think we have like 7 birthdays in a week. Yeah. I go to the section, I got to get one for Grandma and Grandpa, one from the kids, one from Mom, one for Holly, right? And I'm just like, boop, 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 right? But then you have that, you ever get behind the person who's like, oh, yeah, that's good. Right? And they could go all day. Like, it literally takes forever. They have to find the perfect card. And then they'll sit down and they'll write, like, this perfect thing in it and seal it all up. This is a words of encouragement person.
Well, yeah, and dare you be the person that forgets a card, which is oftentimes I leave it at the house or, whatever. And I think sometimes we also have to filter or look at love languages based on personality as well. I'm a very empathetic person, so that's just a natural strength in me. So I have people in my life who I'm kind of like, okay, they really value that card. But that goes hand in hand with knowing the love languages. So, be careful, yeah.
Number 2 is acts of service. This is the person that just wants to do. Right? I give love and receive love when somebody does something for me. Right? You go around, and you're like, I washed my wife's car, and I gassed it up, and she doesn't even care because it's not her love language, right? And it used to be my love language. I used to be acts of service and doing and going around and getting everything done, and now I don't even do the dishes, I guess. So I'm not that way anymore.
Now it's my love language.
Now it's her love language. She's like, hey, chip, 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 love me. And so... but it's like my dad grew up in a home. It's funny just to watch this. My dad grew up in a home where his stepmom was the cleanest. Like she was just really a maid. Like, and I know this because when I stayed at Grandma and Grandpa's house, you could get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, go to the bathroom, you come back and somehow your bed's made. You're like, oh my God, what happened, right? Wow, thank you, right? It didn't matter. She would cook the dinner, and she would never sit down. She would sit at the table as we all ate, and if you needed ketchup, she would go get ketchup. She would get you, and she just served until everybody was done, and then we all got up, and then she cleaned it, she put everything away, and then she would have her own dinner. This is the house. I'd never seen anything on the floor, nothing messy. It was the cleanest house ever that I've ever seen. This is what my dad grew up with, right? So then he marries my mom. Mom's not the same way. So they talk about the very first meal that they had at their house. They just got married, sitting down, right? There's a burger. They both have a burger. Dad's sitting there, and Dad looks, and he goes, oh, we don't have any ketchup. And my mom goes to him. She goes, well, while you're up, why don't you get me some mayonnaise also? And then life had changed for my father greatly.
Yes. Yes.
So acts of service. Number 3 is gift giving. Show me the money is what we call this one. Gift giving is just the people that they just enjoy gifts. Not big. It has nothing to do with expense. It has to do with kind of the surprise, and you thought about me, and you got something. You know, when I would travel and speak, I'd come home, and you could see, like I felt like at least when Lakin was younger, gifts, he would be so excited. I'd bring him something special, and he'd have his little thing. It's so awesome. And then I'd give Heath something cool, and he's like, oh, cool. And then I'd find it later just laying around the house somewhere in a corner somewhere, right? And it didn't mean the same to Heath at least at that age, as it did at Lakin. And so once again, you're learning to watch for gift giving. The funny thing is like this. So you get somebody who is a words of encouragement person who's going to a gift-giving birthday party. They spend an hour picking out the card. They spend an hour writing in the card. They have the perfect thing, a poem, maybe a song in there, like it's just epic. You got to turn the pages to read it. And then you give it to somebody like me that was a gift giver, right? And then I'm going through the cards, and they're just sitting there. They're all excited, waiting for me to see it, right? And I open it up, and then I shake it, and I'm like, oh, what a cheap A. And then I just throw it off to the side. I'm like, didn't give me no gift, right? They're hurt because I didn't take any time to read all the special words. I'm hurt because you're cheap. You didn't get me a gift. Everybody's hurt. And we're all mad and upset. So gift giving. Number 4.
Oh, this one is me. Okay, number 4 is quality time. This is a person who values very much one-on-one. It doesn't matter. You could go anywhere, you could do anything, you could go nowhere. But just that quality time, just the one-on-one, talking, sharing, it fills up their love tank. And this is me. I'm a quality time gal. I just like that one-on-one time, hearing about what's going on in your life. And quality time people, it doesn't have to be about them. It's just one-on-one with them. It could be all about you. It could be the entire time could be spent you talking about how amazing your vacation was or whatever. A quality time person that fills their love tank.
And this is a quality time. It's not about the time either. It's about the relationship that comes out of the time, right? It could be, and this would be the kid that's like, hey, you're going to the gas, I'll ride with you to the gas station.
Yep.
And you're like, well, that's dumb. Why would you want to just go play, go do something, right?
It could be 5 minutes.
Realizing that their love tank is they just want to have some quality time with mom or with dad. And so once you recognize you're like, well, yeah, get on in there. That'll be fun. That'll be great. But like I said, if it's not your love language, it seems to make no sense. Why would you ride with me to the gas station? That makes no sense at all.
Well, if you're married to an acts of service person, or if your best friend's an acts of service person, you are wiped out routinely because there's very little quality time, right? Like they're doing and moving and whatever. Quality time is like legit talking and having time and you're not trying to like share screens and, get a word in edgewise. I mean, it literally is one-on-one. Your focus is on each other. And so... Yeah, if you're an acts of service person, you don't get this. You don't understand it. You're
right, because, Holly's talking.
Move.
I'm changing light bulbs. I'm working while I'm like, yeah, sounds great. Okay, squeaky. Right, and so you don't even realize that you're not loving them in their love language. And then they're like, you don't even talk to me. I'm like, well, I talked to you for an hour, and you don't even care that I fixed the light bulb and I fixed this. You don't care about all the things I do. And you can see where the fights can come with that. Number 5 is physical touch and closeness. It's not sex. I know. I was like, oh, I'm number 5. And then you find out,
no.
It's not. It's not what you thought.
No.
It's actually the opposite.
Yes, you
right? It's
please.
literally, hey, we held hands, and it didn't lead anywhere, and that was a good thing. And I'm like, but why hold hands then? That makes no sense. The hold hands was just to go somewhere with it. And so it's a real weird one. But physical
ahead,
touch
share it,
and
share it.
closeness is
I
just
love this
is
one.
literally just being together, right? And this is another one of Holly's. It's
Well, it
just,
was. I mean,
just
quality time and physical touch and closeness.
right, yeah. So like it's like me sitting down
Now I'm
somewhere,
like, hey,
and
go
she'll come
do
and sit
something.
down and she'll read a book. Yeah, she's not that way now. I'm like, hey, you want to hang out? She's like, not really. And so, yeah, why don't you go do the dishes? Don't you have something to do around the house?
That is true.
Squeaky gate. We got holes. We got rats. We got a mess everywhere. What do? You ain't got time to sit down. And so, physical touch and closeness.
But share this one because this one is very funny.
Because when
you
it
don't
was
get it.
you, it was very, before I understood love languages, it would blow my mind. It just made no sense to me. So when we're dating, I'm like, hey, what do you want to do tomorrow? She's like, it'd be fun. What if we drove up to Payson and had lunch? And I go, and then, okay. And she'd go, and then we'd drive home. Oh. Hey, we could do that, or we could do something that's not dumb. Either way, like your choice.
And that's what he would say.
Like it sounds like she literally said this. She goes, "What we should do today?" Like it'd be like the morning we just came over, and she's like, "Hey, we should drive to California and go to the beach." And I go, "Okay." And she goes, "Then drive home." I go, "That's like 12 hours in the car. I would rather take a pencil and poke myself in the eye for 3 hours because it's 9 hours less than the drive." So it made no sense to me, right? And some of you may be listening, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing where some of our fights and our arguments and the things are coming together.
So a better picture of that is, he would be playing video games or he would be watching a game on TV or whatever. And I really liked to just sit next to him and read a book or, I don't know, watch him play. I would do that too. Yeah. And so it wasn't even like talkie time. It was 100%. A lot of times not. Like I just was like, don't talk. I want to.
It's literally not talking. It's just being together. You just enjoy that closeness together.
But then it would get really awkward because like in the early times before we like had this amazing information, he'd be like,
yeah, if she's around, you must want some of this. And so I made sense.
And that's not what it means. And so that's a great way to deplete their love tank because they really just want to be in your presence. They just want to hang out with you.
And even what you just did right there. So you'll see with your kids. All right, so the examples with your children is, right, dad comes home, he bought a glove for his son. Here you go, there's a glove, go have fun. But the son would rather not get the glove and had you just come out and played maybe with the football and play catch with him. Yeah. That his love language, right? You went and you washed your daughter's car. It's like super cool. But she's like, I'd rather just go on to coffee with you, Dad, rather than you spend the time. I can wash my own car. And so learning to identify, there's a test at the end. Make sure you go through that. And then even go through it. We did it with our own kids. You go through the test kind of with your own kids and trying to figure out what and if they're old enough to take it, then you have them go through it so you can kind of identify. One of the things that you will find, of course, like Olive, who's 2, all the love languages. Give me praise, give me money, right? Give me time, swing me. Like she has all a spectrum, but they'll begin to settle in to some love languages somewhere around 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there. They'll begin to settle into about 2 primary love language in their life. And so it's important that we we teach them that. And it's important that we teach our children to love back. A home that we just love our kids raises up a child who the world will make no sense to them, right? It's very important that we're teaching our children that love is two-way, that people matter. You're not the only one that gets stuff, and that for holidays that we as parents, right, I'll tell the kids, Mom's birthday's coming up. Now the older kids, as soon as they can drive, go figure it out, get Mom a gift, figure it out, right? And I'm on them, right, as soon as you drive. Before that, we'll go out and we'll pick out a gift for Mom, right? And then we'll get cards. All you guys get cards because it's important that you write something special in the card. So I'm doing this, and I say this even for those of you that are single and you have exes, because what a great way to show your kids, right? Even though you may not be able to stand them, right? But it doesn't matter. Love doesn't go. See, there's not a boundary for love like that. No, you still need to get your dad a gift. You still need to get your mom a card and write a card. And you'll be amazed at how much better your relationship with your ex is when you begin to love them unconditionally. You begin to show what the biblical love really looks like, how much easier because the Bible it doesn't come back untrue. It says, hey, for your enemies, love them and be kind to them. It's like hot coals on their heads. So I don't know what that exactly is. It must burn a little bit. But loving them and doing those things and making sure that you're teaching your children to love and to give back cards and gifts And if you learned anything at all, give the Lord a hand clap.